Welcome back, Officers Republic. We're back in the When to Farm playlist, the playlist that tells you when the best time to farm characters and teams are. Since we do live in a post-farming guide world, it's nice to know how characters and teams that you are looking to farm will interact with characters and teams that you already have on your roster to allow you to be a better player. Today, Cal Kestis. Yesterday, I got him at R7. Thank God they finally brought the event back around. It'd been way too long. I think he goes permanent in June, but don't quote me on that. I probably have no idea what I'm talking about. So, what is he useful for? Now, he's great. He's very similar to Cat. I mean, yes, he also has an Annihilate. It's not right off the bat. It's a little bit later, but he does have it. But that's not the only similarities he has with Cat. He's really, really good on the team he's supposed to be with. But just like Cat, he's also pretty good to great in other places. Anywhere that can use a light side character or a Jedi, he's going to be useful. Obviously, he's the best with JML, and I usually recommend, for most cases, people who have a semi-developed roster, because until this point, the characters weren't accelerated, and we didn't know when he was going to come back, so it's kind of hard to recommend farming him if it didn't make sense. Also, there was barriers, so if it didn't make sense and there was barriers, it was just extra stupid. But now that he's becoming like a mainstay in the game, I mean, whenever you're thinking about transitioning into a JML farm, whether you're in the pyramid scheme of success of sadness of success, or you just need a couple extra offensive characters, maybe your defense is, at an 84 and your offense is at like a 76 or something like that, and you need to boost, and you're going to go for JML. Cal Kestis kind of takes that team and takes all of the weaknesses that they had to Malgus and other things and allows them to kind of rid themselves of said weaknesses. Realistically speaking, you're going to be using the team very similarly. You're going to be using them on offense. Or, I mean, I've seen people put Jedi Cal and Baby Cal with Rey to have some success. You can really put them any place where you can use a light side character and a Jedi. As I said, you're probably past the 4 to 5 million GP mark if JML is not your first Galactic Legend, when you're probably considering picking up Cal Kestis or thinking about farming Cal Kestis requirements. So I would say it's usually in that 4 to 5 million GP ballpark. I like to recommend people start with either a defensive Galactic Legend or a Galactic Legend in the pyramid scheme of success of sadness of success. If you want information on that, I think it's probably the pinned video on my YouTube channel if you go to my homepage. Obviously, if you join the Patreon, use the cube to review your roster. It'll tell you that as well. So if you're not starting with a defensive GL of some kind, JML is a very good first GL, especially because he kind of is the easiest point of entry into the pyramid. And now that Cal is going to be a mainstay, it looks like that's going to be a much more viable path. So if that is the case and he is your first Galactic Legend, I mean, you start farming your first GL or GL ship around 2.5 to 3 million GP. That's probably the earliest you're going to want to go for this. Since it is a team that only requires Gear 12 and no Zetas to unlock, not a ton of investment, especially once they become accelerated rate. The gear is a little steep. Be wary. The gear is a little steep for the characters and for him. So it will be kind of a slog to actually get them up to Gear 12, even though it only is Gear 12. But at least you won't be tapping too much into your relic resources. The team you use to unlock him, I did this yesterday, so it's probably still in my journey guide. Oh, I guess I completed it, and it automatically cancels the journey guide for you. But all of the characters that you use to unlock him, or at least usable, Cal Kestis is obviously great for a Seer Junda team, which is what I'm using them right now. I'm going like Seer Junda, Cal Kestis, Malicos, Crew, and a lot of people throw in Fulcrum. I throw in Reva because I don't have Inquisitors, but Marin makes the Night Sisters way better. Tarful, I imagine, will probably be good when they add a Gunji of some kind. And Saw Gerrera had a Datacron on his team for Rebel Fighters that made them really fucked up. I can't remember if it was a Chirrut or a Baze Omicron, to be perfectly honest. But even when Datacron. But when those Datacrons aren't there, it's still a solid character to put in some places. He has a solid kit. Very similar to Starkiller in that it boosts a lot of good teams, creates another team, adds something to an existing team. Solid all-around character. So if it's your first GL for JML, you're probably going for Cal around 2.5 to 3.5 million GP. If JML is not your first Galactic Legend, you're probably going for him around that 4 to 5 million GP range. Thank you for watching. Watch the rest of the When to Farm playlist so that you can know when to farm everything in the game. And give yourself the knowledge so that whatever it is you are currently doing, have done, or will do, you can have the important knowledge to do it more effectively. And therefore, have no need for AP gains. And I can wither into nothingness. Okay, bye-bye.